for coming. So this is Skip Hancock. This is my teacher. So it's the man who taught me how to teach. Everything I know about how to teach, I learned from him. So I've been teaching Pilates for 25 years, but I've been his student for over 30. And so as a young man, he taught me how to think critically, and it has helped me in every aspect of my life and my career. And it's unbelievable. So he's the smartest person I know. And I don't mean that in a kind of a metaphorical way, just absolutely. He has pretty much molded how I think. You know, back in the day, back in the universities, professors, they would profess. They would take challenges from, and they would teach you how to think critically, because it wasn't just like you sit and you learn things by rote and you just regurgitate information. And so that was the life lessons that I got from Skip. Skip is a best-selling author. He travels all around the world, teaches seminars to hundreds of people, every country around the world, you know, spoken to vice presidents, kings, I'm serious, Tonga, yeah, so, yeah.
Can we record?
Oh yeah, I'm recording this too, as well,
okay,
so
okay.
if you want,
Yeah.
I can get you a copy of all of that.
No, don't worry about permission. No, no.
Yeah. So now, Skip is not a Pilates teacher. However, the lessons he teaches are universal to any type of teaching. So this is why, I mean, his students are like West Point Academy professors. And so it's just, and it's also a dear, dear friend of mine. He was the person who officiated my wedding. That's the one thing I wanted. Yeah.
That's pretty funny, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
flew him
geez.
out, and it was I mean, it's the father I never had. So I'm just so happy to bring him here. These are all my students, and then oh, there we go. There's Vanessa. So
Hello, Vanessa. Nice to meet you.
so I'm going to turn the floor over to Skip, and you guys have a rare opportunity to learn from one of the world's greatest educators. And yeah.
All right, wow. Should I start floating on air while I'm at it here? All right. So, I'm happy to be here, you guys. I do love teaching. It's what we do better than anybody else in the world. There's teaching, and then, but we don't teach public school, you know what I mean? And when you think about the people that come to you guys, right, they're here because they want to be here. It's not mandatory for them to be here. So you've got to provide an atmosphere that says, I want to come back, I want to be here, right? So one of the things that always made my particular school go is no one ever left. I mean, I wasn't teaching in a school anymore for a while, but one of my students closed his school, and he said, well, would you take some of the students on because they're dedicated? So I took on 35 of his students. 10 years, not one of them left. I thought, you guys, you're graduating from college now, just move on. You know, it's like go back to my travel around the world life, so to speak, like that. Well, I'm down to about 5 of them finally, as I keep kicking them out on their own and stuff like that. So before I go into any kind of subject we could talk about, does anybody have a question they'd just like to ask off the top of your head? And every 5 minutes or so, I'll give you a chance to ask a question as you understand more. If you look at the book then, the cover of the book is really the key of all this. So this path to excellence, right? In Espanol, it's El Camino de Excelencia, all right? And there's 4 key ingredients to everything we do. It's attitude, logic, basics, and fitness. So these 4 things are the central core of everything that you'll do. So even though I teach the martial arts, we can use these things around the outside. This outside of this is the ways to exercise this. So what makes life simple for us is I have attitude, and then I have a logic, and I have fitness. And the fitness is 5 fitnesses. It's spiritual, perceptual, emotional, mental, and physical fitness. The way life gets simple for me is if I'm training Pilates, if I'm doing an exercise on building my transverse abdominis, I'm saying to myself, that's an exercise. That's not my goal. My exercise, I'm using that to exercise, I may be exercising spiritual fitness. The courage to do X amount of reps with X amount of difficulty to it, right? Likewise then, I could turn around and use the piano to do the same thing. I'm going to use my piano today to exercise spiritual fitness. So I might set a personal way of thinking for the morning is I'm just going to work on spiritual fitness today. The master key to spiritual fitness is courage. And courage comes from the Old Greek and Middle East, Middle Ages French means to run to a challenge. That's kind of what it really means. So I'm going to run to the challenge of playing this piece on the piano. And I'm not auditory. I'm very visual. I'm probably one of the most visual people in the entire world. The things that I see, nobody else sees, I know. But the point is, my challenge would be to play this song without music, without written music, and hear the notes. This tone should follow this tone, that should follow this, to make this work. So I'm just using the piano. I can turn it right around, and I'm going to make huevos rancheros for breakfast. And I'm going to make it a special way. That's my challenge, the courage to run to this. And so I can use everything in my life to exercise those 4 things. That's all it is. And what makes it work for all the young people that I would teach, they start at 5 years old with me sometimes. And I build with master keys. So a master key is something that will open all the doors to simplicity. Just as we have a master key to this door, we have the same master key that would open all these doors. That's what makes it work. And so for this young people, they learn the master key to logic, they learn the master key to attitude, they learn the master keys to each of the fitnesses. That's okay, come on in. You are?
Bianca.
Come on.
Bianca.
Diana.
Yes.
Okay. And those master keys are the same for everything. The only thing that changes the master keys change are in basics. The basics of cooking would be different than the basics of piano. But the beauty of it is, I have the same master key for 75% of the stuff. So therefore, if I learn how to play the piano and I learn the master keys for attitude, logic, and the 5 fitnesses, I can then transfer that instantly to any other field. So they're already 3/4 of the way there, whatever it is. I mean, a couple of the girls reminded me, I had these 2 twins that grew up with me, and their senior year in high school, the one says to me, I think I'm going to turn out for tennis this year. I said, have you ever played tennis? No. She made the varsity tennis team, never having touched a tennis racket. That's because she's already got 75%. Just teach me how to, and we do it all by muscle movement. So and I teach with verbs. I have no nouns. So you might think about that in terms of engaging your students when you're working with your clients. Because only action is action. We try to keep them in the now, and nouns are for collecting things, and verbs are for action. And that allows you to have the students get in the experiential level. They're experiencing things because they're right there. It's all talk this way. And we reduce it down to muscle movement. Just in terms of my arms, it's just hammer and whip and thrust. That's all the muscles do. And I don't even have the traditional names that you would think of in martial arts, like block and strike and stuff like that. We just use muscle movement, and we solve problems. So we're problem solvers is what we do. So that's the key. This is what we'd say in Espanol. Okay, this is the what of everything we do. The how we get it done in the book is this el ciclo de consideraciones, the cycle of considerations. So the cycle is the 9 things that you have to consider in their exact order in order to be successful in anything. So it's really turned out to be a universal problem solver. And it's always attitude first in everything you do. And one of the things that we do better than anybody else in the world is we define everything. So Arnold knows the joke is, for the last 30 years, somebody's waiting for me to define something and be off on it. And I'm not going to be off one word when I do it. Because I actually have a file, my manager, she always laughs, I have the 99% file, which is, I've written an article about something, but it's only 99% of the way there because I'm waiting for that one thought that makes sure it's 100% before I put it out there all the time. The cycle starts with attitude and then it's environment. So you guys have to deal with that stuff all the time. Attitude is how you arrange your body and mind towards something. It's the same thing that your student has to do then too, right? And so when you think about your children, right, or friends or whoever, what's your attitude, right? You say stuff like that to people and it takes them nowhere. Attitude is towards something. So what's your attitude toward tacos? You see? What's your attitude towards ab work? What's your attitude towards flexibility? When you have the towards something, it gives somebody a place to go with something. Then they can modify it. But if you just say, what's your attitude? It's a dead end, all right? And attitude is 50%. So one of my students just made a sweatshirt, it was pretty cool. He goes, attitude is the first 50%. Wait till you see what the rest of I have to offer you, which is pretty cool. And then it comes to environment. So environment is everything in you, and on you and around you. So the things that are on you, whether it's in Pilates or in the martial arts, right? It has to give you this easy feeling. So you're not, the gals aren't going to come in here and do a Pilates reformer workout in a miniskirt and high heels. And I make the girls do that sometimes in the training floor, just in the boys. They have to wear street outfits sometimes. If you're going to wear that in the street, you've got to defend yourself. But normally they're not going to wear something like that because they're not going to have an easy feeling. And so you want to make sure everything on your student has an easy feeling about it. And you guys, that's why Tara's so successful. I'm sure that's part of what goes on in here. But then there has to be the easy feeling about the things that are around you. And so part of what's around you are your fellow training mates, the air, the light. Everything about this place has to create an easy feeling. And the purpose of those two things, having the easy feeling, is so you can study the third part, which is the things that are in you. And the things that are in you are the 5 fitnesses: spiritual fitness, perceptual fitness, emotional fitness, mental fitness, and physical fitness. Those are the 5 things that are in you. And as you get better at that, you change this. Let's go do Pilates outside. Let's go do it on the grass, whatever like that, right? I'm terrible about that with my students because I'll challenge them. So now, some people, we had a while back, we had a camp in Kauai, 4 people, that's all I take at a time usually. And they wanted to just learn this one dance routine that's sophisticated in the black belt levels. I said, okay, I'll teach it to you. That's what we'll do for the whole week. But every time we hear Don Ho sing Tiny Bubbles, right, you have to get out and do it wherever we are. We're in a mall, shopping center, on the beach, driving down the highway. I stop the car. They got to go out and do this, right? Because I'm so challenge oriented, right? And they want to feel limited in here, that's nice and safe. So I'm always pushing people's boundaries that way. And that's the 5 fitnesses, again. And they occur in that exact order. So the principle is called synergy. So synergy is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So if I normally take 2 plus 4 plus 5, I get 11. But if I do that in a certain order, the result might actually come out to be 13, right? And so that's what you do in physical fitness and strength routines and flexibility routines. And the 5 fitness occur exactly in that order. And so when I take those 5 fitnesses and spiritual, perceptual, emotional, mental, and physical, in that order, I end up with what we call poise. That's how you develop a poised person. Arnold's probably been teaching a little bit about the principles of motion. And so, wow, that went back quite a few years before I developed it. So it doesn't exist out there anywhere other than what we did with it. And you study them in that exact order, all right? And so oftentimes your students probably feel inadequate. You have a lot of, you probably got some students you can identify as perfectionist, right? And so their idea of, if there's 20 things I need to know, and I know 14 of them, they'll say 20 minus 14 equals wrong in their mind. No, you've got 14 things you know, now we're going to work on the 15th thing. And you have to get that across to them. And perfectionists, they don't want to put the whole self into it. Always remember that when you're working with that perfectionist, is they don't want to put the whole self into it because what if they fail? What if they can't do it? Oh, that's just earth-shattering for them, right? And so you have to get them past that. Now, I've been jabbering here a little bit to kind of introduce this. So now, who has a thought or a question you'd like to ask? Yes?
What's the order of the 5 fitnesses?
Spiritual, then perceptual, then emotional, mental, and physical. So I still get physical challenges from people all the time out there when I'm doing seminars. They want to try me on, you know? They might be 50 years younger than me. You know what? They think they're faster than me, but they're not, because those same fitnesses are the same 5 speeds. There's overall speed. And so I will beat them spiritually, perceptually, emotionally, and mentally. And there's 7 types of physical speed that I've identified, and I'll beat them on the first. They're just thinking how fast their muscles can move. Right? I got one in April in La Ciudad de Mexico. Some young 25-year-old MMA thought he could hit harder than I could. I said, okay. And my students don't want me to do it because I just had a surgery. If I get hit, it'd be kind of bad in my kidney or something like that, right? And so I said, it doesn't matter. He's not going to hit me anyway, right? So he tried to hit me before he got his arm twitched. He was on the ground, you know? And because he doesn't understand those other fitnesses, those other speeds come before that. So they're always relying on that. So And I love challenges, so I don't ever say no to them, right? So I've had entire police forces challenge me and stuff. So, and Arnold knows, and my students on the farm all the years, they have a sign that says, now it's at 1,181. That's the number of times I've escaped death. And my students, the mothers and grandmothers always say, Skip, you're going to spend 10,000 years in purgatory for all the worry you put your mother through. It's true. She actually received 3 official notices from the federal government that I was dead. You know, you can imagine getting the letter. So your son died in a plane crash in Guatemala, or stuff like that, you know. So, all right, having said that, I think what we do, another question real quick. Yes, okay, go.
What is the significance of the order? Or maybe it's not.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit, right? It's just that, for example, perceptual fitness comes before emotional fitness. So if I can't perceive things correctly, that is, my brain, my eyes take something in, and I can't interpret the information, that's the perception of it, right, correctly, then I'm going to have this emotional problem. Emotion comes from the Latin, means to move away from. So if I don't perceive how this task in front of me works, then I'm going to move away from it emotionally. And so I have to understand that the perception comes before that. And spiritually, it's pretty simple. If I say, Arnold, I want you to, you're my student, I want you to strap, 25 pounds of dynamite on you, go over there, run to that building, blow everybody up. I don't need the rest of it. If you can do that, right? He doesn't need any strength, flexibility, speed, doesn't need anything. Doesn't need emotional, perceptual, anything. If he's got the spiritual fitness to do that, life is pretty simple, all right? And when you lack that, everything gets always more difficult. When you don't go in that order, you can still do things. Like, it's still synergistic with the principles of motion. Posture is first, and then balance. So if I don't have good posture, it's tough to have good balance. And if I don't have good balance, I won't relax. And if I don't relax, I won't have speed. It goes right down the order. And the synergistic result, that kind of an idea like that again, of posture, balance, relaxation, speed, angles, body line, economy of motion, and timing, in that exact order, we call coordination. So those things like that, I can study in the attention state versus the intention state. So the master key to mental fitness is concentration. And I break that into 2 parts of attention and intention. So attention state is when I'm deliberating on things, all right? Intention is I'm on the problem-solving side of my brain, right? And so I can pay attention to something about posture. So, and then I'll pay attention to something to balance. And along the lines, I'll get to eventually to coordination, which would be studied in the intention state, all right? All right? And then it goes to focus and then power. And in the book, I have all that stuff defined for you, exactly what it says, why it works perfectly for you. And on the fitness, on the spiritual level, I have virtues. That's part of, I'm a big on education. It's not about 4 + 4 = 8. The purpose of education is to develop virtues in young people. It's supposed to be developing honesty and humility, meekness, courage, compassion, mercy. I have my personal list of human virtues in here, and they're defined again for you. And then I have the 3 virtues that I see as godly virtues, which are faith, hope, and charity. All right? The other ones, but the human virtue list, people can come up with different lists sometimes. That's not the end of the world. It's just that you can focus on one. For example, friendship is one of those human virtues. It's one of my favorite ones to talk about because I love friendship, because the reward of friendship is friendship itself. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't need anything else. Arnold's my friend. That means we have no agenda between the 2 of us, right? He doesn't expect anything from me to be my friend or vice versa. And that's an incredible thought, that the reward is the thing itself. That's pretty cool, right? So the virtues, I study them in that exact order also, all right? So it'll come out. So one of my students grew up, I get different kinds of people that you guys are used to being around. I get a lot of street guys, This one guy, when he was 6, his dad made him fight every day. When he was 7, his dad made him fight every day for money. And if he lost, his dad beat him up. So you can imagine how far he has to go spiritually, And the cutest thing was he married my manager, who's this incredible gal. She is incredible. And the reason is because He wasn't making, he's a big construction guy, but he had no money. I said, I'm going to give you brandy for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, he came back and she says, oh, here's this envelope. And here, in the envelope was $10,000 in cash that he had netted for the 2 weeks, that he never had any money before. He married her. And the best part of the joke of it all was at the wedding, she was 50 at the time. She's just a gorgeous woman, just beautiful spiritually, but also physically. At the reception afterwards, he had the wine glass up to toast, and we're all going to toast brandy, da-da-da. He goes on and on for 10 minutes about this. And he wasn't toasting her, he was thanking me. He toasted me, at the wedding. So he hadn't quite changed enough yet, right? But he says, no, I'm serious, guys, because I would have never got to know her. I would have never met her, right? And stuff like that, because he was pretty crude. You know what I mean? He's a fighter. That's all he is. That's all he is a fighter. And I've had a lot of those guys over the years. He mentioned that subtly. My very first student, I was probably the first guy to professionally teach kids the martial arts. He didn't do that. He started with me at 7, had no dad. And he teaches philosophy at West Point. All he had was a high school education. Didn't have a college degree or anything when they started having him teach philosophy at West Point. Is that incredible? Because he learned how to think from day one as a kid. And he spent 4 or 5 hours a day, every day with me. Well, I'm figuring it all out at that time too. So that's a pretty incredible story just in itself, right? So he was one of the guys in Nicaragua who actually went in and captured Noriega. Right? So, yeah, got some experience. So for the fun of it, oh wait, I've got to back up again. Another question?
I had one.
Sure, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
It'll come back to me.
Somebody else? Before you go. So I thought what we might do for the fun of it here, in the book here, is under this perception part. Because you guys are a teacher, in this section here, there's a section here called the dominance factors. Now the dominance factors was not my idea. Some woman had this as an educator. But she never applied it, right? And it gets used a little bit, say for example, in handgun shooting, if you know if you're right eye or left eye dominant, right? But that's about as far as most people ever do this, all right? And so you're gonna have brain dominance, eye dominance, ear dominance, arm dominance, and leg dominance. And the dominance factors is a phone number. It's your personal phone number for communication. So it's a huge, huge thing in teaching, all right? So for example, if you're right arm dominant, I'm never going to use the word around you left arm. You're going to have right arm and other arm. Because it's a phone number for internal communication or external. So if I'm going to talk to you, and if I dial the wrong phone number to you, you're not going to pick up. We're not communicating. So I have to know if you're left brain or right brain, left arm or right arm, left eye or right eye. And everybody's going to have a different combination of that. And all of a sudden, in this room, we'll do it. Here's an exercise to find out. Just to start this way. So we need to find out if you're left brain or right brain. Okay? Anybody know what you are? Well, if you go in the book here, there's dominance factors here. I got to find the page here real quick. There's a page here, 2 pages on brain dominance, left brain and right brain. So let's see if we can do this physically. Let's see. So let's all stand up, and we're going to move this just a little bit here. Try to make a row of, it'll be kind of fun. Let's see if we can do this. Make a row across this way if you can. So we can walk back and forward this way. Fun thing about this kind of stuff is you're going to get to know each other, right? Really, really well. So I have what I call the personal stream. And these are all the things you know about yourself before you set out to do tasks, like defend yourself or teach Pilates or do Pilates, right? And right at the top is the brain dominance. So here we go. So you're going to take a step forward if you're kind of left brain on this subject, or you'll take a step back if you're right brain. And you get ready to open the door, Arnold, for people that are taking a step back too much, right? So, a left brain, take a step forward if you are logical. If you see yourself as being logical. Just take a step forward if you are. It's okay. You can make small steps if you like. Or take a step back if you see yourself as imaginative. There you go, okay? Take a step forward if you like to analyze, or you have to analyze everything. Okay? Take a step back, right brain, if you conceptualize things. You like larger concepts. Okay?
Step back, right?
Yeah, step back, okay? Number 3, left brain, coming forward, do you like to solve problems? Okay? Right brain, you take a holistic approach to everything, right? You like to see the whole thing, right? Left brain, you're mathematical, okay?
What's the other option?
There is no other option yet. If you're because you could be both, right? It's a balance, right? And number 4 is you're artistic. It's like, there you go, good, all right? Number 5, you're very technical. You're Arnold. You're like Arnold, in other words, right? Just whenever you think left brain, just think Arnold, okay? All right. Number 5, you synthesize everything. You bring everything together like this, okay? That would be going back. Right, it's a right brain character, so step back if you're doing the right brain. Okay. Number 6, this is a terrible left brain one. If you make list. Oh, wow, okay. And right brain, you're musical. Then you step back if you're right brain. Okay, yeah. Number 7, the left brain has got their heads down all the time. You organize everything. There you go. Right brain, you're very spiritual. You would take a step back. Take a step back. We're trying to separate right from left by going this way.
Yeah, you can also take
You can always take a step back. Yeah, that's okay. All right?
Yeah. No, I know. I know myself.
Left brain, you drift into the future. Yeah. You can't last 2 seconds about thinking what's next, right? That's you, yes. Yeah. So one of the simplest ways to separate right brain from left brain is just tell your right brain, just step back. Step back, your right brain. See, she just let me do it to her, right? Get it? All right. Number 9, left brainers, you plan everything. You can step.
Just kick me out.
Right brainers, you're very interpersonal. You interact with other people like that, right? Number 10, that's back. Right brains go back. Left brain going forward. You're guilty here. Controlling everything. Oh, God. Okay. Right brain going back. You like to take a risk. That's okay, yeah. You can take a step back if you do that, right? Oh, you don't have to take a step forward, just stay where you are.
I really love my comfort zone.
Okay. Left brain is conservative. Okay. Right brain likes surprises. Okay. Get ready to open the door. All right. Left brain is very reserved. Okay. Right brain likes to touch a lot. You got to take a right step back. Right brain. Right brain goes back. Okay. 13. Let's see. Left brain likes to be the administrator. Okay. 13. Right brain likes to teach. Okay. Yes. Okay. Oh, great. You're in trouble. Left brain qualifies everything. We're going to open that door for the exit sign here. 14. Okay. Right brain is sensitive to others, other human beings. Sensitive to others. Right?
Sensitive?
Yes, sensitive. Yeah. I'm very sensitive when I hit you. Okay. Left brain is critical.
There's nowhere else for me to go.
Just bounce off the wall. Right brain is supportive. Left brain is critical of everyone, if you like. Some of us. Right? I just said that one. Left brain is realistic. Right brain feels. Right? Left brain, oh God, you're in trouble now, likes numbers. Okay? Right brain is impetuous. All right? Left brain knows about money.
Oh, jeez.
There you go.
I did another conversation about it in the finance workshop.
Right brain is curious and likes to play. And left brain knows how things work. And right brain just infers everything for itself. So you can see this, where we are here. So some of you are very much on the left brain side. And some of you are more on the right brain side. And some of you are more balanced. So what happens is human beings, right, when they're born, operate primarily on the right brain side because that's the survival side of their brain. When a kid gets to be 6 or 7 years old, that little highway starts to open up, and it's DNA encoded that you're left brain versus right brain. But it's the one dominance factor that you can balance out. You can make yourself more right brain activity, more left brain. I'm very, very left brain, but because my first kid I promoted to black belt was very right brain, and my teacher was very right brain, and I made this instead of a list. Right? You see what I'm saying? And so the cycle is a cycle versus, there it is, finally. The cycle looks like this. So versus a list of the 9 things in this exact order that you would do. And so I'm more balanced and it was a lot better. And it's really important because self-defense itself is primarily a right brain activity. So I've got to be able to relate to right brain people and all these different characteristics you just saw here. So we're going to, for the sake of this, we're going to call you guys left brain. So you stand over there. You guys are clearly left brain. You can come in that group. And the right brain people make this nice group back here. And do you want to be with the right brainers or left brainers?
Right brain.
Good, see? And do you want to be with the right brainers or left brainers?
Right.
And you?
Can I be in the middle?
Not for this exercise. You'll have to choose. You guys could be a right brainer. Okay, good. So having said that, now we want to decide which is your dominant eye. Okay, so for you guys back here, and for you guys facing this way, if you look at the exit sign, right? You guys don't look at that one there. And make a telescope and put it up against your eye, touch your eye, and look through it. Actually touch your eye with that telescope. Whichever eye you put it up to is your dominant eye. Okay? All right, so now, understand this. So you guys are left brain. How many people in this group are left eye? Stand over here. Right eye people stay there. How many people here are left eye? Move right here. And the right eye people stay back there. So you guys are right brain, right eye. You guys are right brain, left eye. So move up this way just a little bit. So you can see right now, we already have 4 groups. And I'm going to teach this class. You see what I'm saying? And who's left brain, left eye? God, I love you guys. It's because, I always say, there's 2 types of people in the world, the left brain, left eye people, and the rest of you. Okay? So, now having said that, however, think about your cell phone. You're going to get a call, pick up your cell phone, and put the phone up to your ear. That's your dominant ear. All right? It doesn't matter what hand it is. All right? So, left ear, or right ear? Right. So you stand over there. You're now by yourself over there, right? And you guys are left ear, right? So you're over here, just by yourself, right? And then we have left ear or right ear? All right ear here.
I'm left.
Left ear's over here, right ear's on this side. So you guys are right brain, right eye, right ear. And you are left brain, left eye, left ear. I love you. It's just us, you and me now. Okay? All right. And now we've got to look at our dominant arm, which is pretty easy, normally how you use it stuff. Sometimes I get people that want to say they're both equal. And that's okay. But the dominant factors is about when you're under pressure. When you're under pressure, you will revert back to your dominance factors. That's why all the years I trained, people talk, well, he does this naturally, that. There is virtually nothing you do naturally. It's all culturally trained. But the dominant factors is natural. You can not get around it. When under pressure, 90% of the information that you will take into your brain is through your dominant eye. So you have to know how that works, right? In this case, what I'll do is I'll just take a tomato, a vine-ripe tomato, set it on the kitchen counter. Because at one time on the farm, we literally had a kitchen right there. Because I love to cook, especially Mexican food. And my farm was 75 years as an organic farm. So we had cooking class once a month. We would make tomato soup, this big, out of vine-ripe cherry tomatoes. Oh my God, that's enough. So we always made a soup, whatever Thai or Mexican food primarily. But also French food, because my mother was from France. All right, so anyway, we would then have them say, okay, now you got to take this knife and slice this tomato. And you got to slice it into 40 slices, and you get 1 minute to do it, whatever. They're not going to cut that tomato with their non-dominant hand. So once you put people under pressure, they're going to go back to their dominance factors. Okay? So having said that, right arm or left arm? Right arm. Left arm?
Right. Left.
Oh, you're by yourself, sorry. Okay. And here? Right? Good. And right arm? Okay, cool. All right, then the leg. So the leg, the dominant leg is a gauging leg. It's just going to figure out distance and stuff like that. So there's different ways to test it, but for example, I'm going to use my friend out here. Come out here. Yeah, just stand out there. Close, spread your feet a little apart. All right, close your eyes. I'm just going to give you a little push and just catch your balance. And whichever leg she catches it with is your dominant leg. So she's a right leg dominant person. All right? So try that with, help somebody out. Have them just spread their feet, close their eyes, give them a little push, and they'll catch their balance. Close your eyes. Okay, right? Did you find it? Yeah. Now, you guys, you may not get it exactly because there may not be enough pressure. You need some pressure. So the pressure here is this, okay? You two are going to race. You guys are going to race.
Yes.
You have to race up there. Which leg are you think? Right?
Right.
And you thought you were?
Right.
Okay, it doesn't matter. So you're going to run. You're going to run as fast as you can. And when you get right to here, you're going to stop. And whoever can get closest to that without touching wins. Let's see. The winner gets lunch paid for by Arnold. The loser has to clean the studio for a week.
Gosh.
Ready? Go. No, don't move. So the point is, you said you were rightly dominant, right?
Yep.
That's why you figured that out. And
I'm a left.
you're left, exactly.
Yeah, and I thought I was a righty.
Yeah. So when there's pressure, you will go back to that, right?
Yeah.
Think about going down the stairs and you got like a laundry basket or something like that, and the stairs are narrow or steep. You're always going to step out with that dominant leg. And I'm a fisherman, so I'm running the riverbanks all the time from one rock to the next, and it's always under pressure. It's the left leg that's figuring it out where I'm going to go.
So why did I think I was a, well, I am
Because-
right, but then in the
no.
pressure on my left?
Well, no, it is what you are under pressure. So there might not have been enough pressure for you to feel like you had to do this or that. She
I
made
immediately put the left, so.
a little bit more pressure. Come on out here, Arlie, get the volunteer for the pressure tester again. You're spread your legs. No, facing her. Good. So here's what you're going to do. Put your feet, spread your feet up out of here. Now, take your fist, put it out here like this. Now, what I'm going to do is do it with your heel palm, like that'll be safer for you,
Right.
not him. All right? I'm going to push you. Your eyes are closed. I'm going to give you a push, right? And your goal is you're going to fall forward. But as soon as you start to feel you're falling forward, open your eyes, okay? And try not to hit Arnold in the face, okay? So she was left, okay? She was left, okay? Because you didn't want to hurt him, the pressure of not hurting Arnold.
Yeah.
Okay? So you just have to put under enough pressure each time for each person. Okay?
Super cool.
Oh, one of those girls I was talking about, I had a whole bunch of girls that were teenagers, and they were excellent fighters. And they would go up to the referee ahead of time. They didn't have to beat the guy they were fighting. They just controlled the referee. They'd go up and shake their hand and stuff like that. And I'd tell the referees ahead of time what they're going to do because they didn't know about this stuff anyway, the referees. And I go, oh, I was so happy to meet you. I'm right-eye dominant. They'd say that to the girls. And the girls would go, it doesn't matter because under pressure, you're going to do what the right-eye person does. So they literally would make sure that the right eye, so you need to understand, if you're right-eye dominant, you're going to read this way. If you're left-eye dominant, you read this way. That's how you take information in. That'll be very useful for you when you're teaching as well. So here I am left-eye dominant. So when I want to talk to this group, see, I'm making sure my environment, I start here and I scan this way to everybody. Versus I'm left-eye dominant, I'm sitting there talking to you, which means I'm totally ignoring her. How does she feel? One of my guys is a computer specialist. We make a little graph on people's studios. They have their studio, then we make a graph on the computer and they'd film them. And number the squares, like this across like that, and find out you're standing in square number 4 75% of the time. And what about the other people? You're not even communicating with visually, auditorily, or whatever like that. Okay? Make sense? So the dominant eye is the huge, huge factor. So that's what in self-defense, see what happens if I'm under pressure. If I'm looking here, I have to be looking here. Because the first thing my eye is going to do is go there and come back. And that's time. That this guy's punching me or attacking me or whatever it might be. It's the same thing for you, taking information about your students, all right? So you have to be able to communicate this to your students. So right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, basically 7 or 8 groups. 7, 8 different phone numbers. and you're teaching all these people at the same time. Oops. So when I teach you at the same time, for example, what I want you to do, everybody raise your dominant arm. You see, everybody did that very easily. Put your hands down. Now, raise your left arm. And see, she's look. Because what dominant ear are you? Which ear is your dominant ear?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, pick up your cell phone.
Oh, left.
Okay, good. So the point is, don't move. Look where she's facing. So her ear's that way. So the dominant ear listens, and the other one just hears. So we did a demo for this one time with one of my Frank, my longtime students, and he's right, like you guys. So I'm communicating to him, and everybody else thinks we're preparing to do this demo. And they're upstairs in this building. We're downstairs, and they're actually filming us. And that is actually the demo. They don't know we're doing the demo. And I'm yelling at him, Frank, we're going to go out and do this, we're going to do that. And you go, what? What? He is actually, because he doesn't know what I'm doing either. What? Then I'd stand on the other side, and I go, Frank, we're going to do this. And he goes, why'd you just say so? You know? And husbands and wives, it's really important to know this about each other, right? Because you're not listening. You know, and I'm talking to you in your right ear dominant as I'm yelling in your left ear. Oh, yes. You're not communicating. So when I'm talking, as soon as I say right foot and your left foot dominant, all right, done, that's the end of the communication. So I don't use right and left in my teaching, all right?
Does that sound familiar, guys?
Yes.
There you go. So this idea of the dominance factors is extremely important for your own daily life. Test it. A great place to test it is when you're driving. Because the left eye people are going to be seeing everything over here on the side of the freeway this way and reading across this way. And the right eye people are going to read in the center, reading back to you know how you read a little bit, right? And you're under pressure, especially the highways here, because most people don't know how to drive in Florida. That's what I found out, right? Mm-hmm. All right? They didn't get a driver's license. They didn't get a lesson. There's bad drivers. Boston has bad drivers, but here, no one even knows how to drive, all right? Who qualifies for that, right? Okay. So, all right. So you can always test the dominant eye thing very, very quickly when you're walking down the sidewalk, driving down the road. You'll see how you're doing stuff. And then you'll realize what somebody else is doing. All you have to do is park in one of these malls, right, in a parking spot, and watch which way you'd like to turn. If you're left eye dominant, you'll normally like to turn into something this way, all right, to park. And the right eye will turn the other way to park. And if you are having to turn, if I'm left eye dominant, I have to make that right hand turn. I'm going to take, if there's two lanes or two spots to park, I'm going to park on the one that's over here that I have the most margin for error. All right? Okay? Does it make sense? Yeah. All right. So that's the idea about the dominance factor. So again, and it's a subject you can study forever. Just ever. And then you're going to know about yourself. And you're going to know about your kids. And and why they aren't doing the same thing you are. The next part of that, so that's part of this, what I call this stream, this personal stream. So I go brain, eye, ear, arm, leg. And then I have to know if I'm challenge-oriented or skill-oriented. Who likes challenges? I didn't see anybody raise their hand right offhand. Who likes, so this challenge-oriented person in the book, wow, I had this really great moment with the book. This one doctor, he's the doctor that saves my life all the time, puts me back together, all right? And so he's one of the top surgeons in the world. And just not about me, but about him. So I had E. coli. I had to go on antibiotics for 280 days on antibiotics. You know how bad that is for your system? And because the E. coli, every time they give me an antibiotic, would mutate faster than they could do anything. See, so that's it, Skip, we're going to do the surgery. So he took a robot, he has this multi-million-dollar machine he gets once a year, and the little robot took it down through my body, took my prostate gland out, cleaned it totally, and put it back in. You tell that the other doctors, and they're going like, huh? Nobody's even heard of it, because I was the only person in the world that's ever been done on, right? And then I gave him the book to say thank you. He called me that night when he got the book at 11:30 at night. Skip, this page is here on flow. This is exactly what goes out of my mind when I do the surgeries. I had never had the words to say it. So that's one of the powers of the book is everybody gets drawn to a paragraph. That's something about you. And you've done things in your life, but you couldn't find the words, and you're going to find them in here. So the joke is when I was teaching in Sacramento a couple of weeks ago, these older guys that were 40, 50-year veterans in the art, all you have to do is ask a question. Open the book to any page, and the answer's there in Skip's book. It's like this magic book. Just open the page. So the dominance factors, again, is worth studying forever. And I explain things here about the dominance. It isn't just a list. There's stuff going on here in the book on it. It's a big subject. And any one of the paragraphs, the guys that have been with me a long time or just know me would take you 10 years to study one paragraph in the book, right? It's all about larger generalized principles. So we say when you learn to operate on larger principles, you can master every specific situation, right? For me, understanding that, you would say, like the martial artist, like you would say, wow, isn't that wonderful that he's been training for 20 years? And I say, isn't it a wonder when you do something the first time and make it look like you've been doing it for 20 years? That's the difference. When you operate on principles that are larger, and I might have studied this idea and done 50 examples of it, I've done. When I see the 51st one, it doesn't bother me. And you wouldn't tell that I did it for the first time, right? And I'm very challenge-oriented. So challenge-oriented, for example, I did a tournament one time. They had me come and do a demonstration. I had one student with me. They said, we're going to do a demo today. What are we going to do? What? Just you and me? Yeah. Get 2 boards. We're going to break boards. 2 boards? This is the whole demo? So yeah, not having done this before, I have to be challenged to get focused. So we got out there to introduce this, and I said, just when you throw that board up in the air, when you see me break it, you throw the other one. What? So he throws the ball up in the air, cut the board in half, he throws the other one up, and cut in half, that's the end of the demo. Everybody's just dead silent. No one could believe he did it, right? But I could have never done it again. Ever would I ever try. Because I need the challenge to get focused. And that was so challenging to do. I literally was watching the board turn around in space in slow-mo like that, going like that, until I found exactly the right angle to cut it with this hand and the other one with the other hand. And I've never tried it again. Same thing surfing. I never surfed before. A guy gave me 15 minutes lessons how to surf, got up on the board, surfed all the way on the first time. And I never did it again. Because I know, because I'm so left brain, I'm going to analyze it to death, thinking, okay, how did I do that? How can I duplicate what I just did? So I don't do that, right? So the challenge-oriented guy has to get aroused. The skill-oriented person has to get bored. You can both get to this flow. There's a cute little chart in here. It's not really a chart. It's a, what's that word? How would you describe it? There it is. My little happy chart, smile chart, right? It looks like that, right? And so this happy part is where you're in the flow, right? And I describe that exactly what's in here. What flow is, how you get to flow. And so flow for me, for example, is a good example is years ago in England, my teacher and I went with a couple other guys to teach, and he was sick. And he said, Skip, you're going to do the seminars. I go, Mr. Parker, my teacher, I said, there's 200 black belts from all around Europe here. They didn't come to see me, they came to see you. So then I can't do it, you have to do it. Oh, God. So I'm going to teach how to take the knowledge of self-defense techniques, which is pretty sophisticated vocabulary, and do it in a freestyle situation with fighters. They don't think you can do that. So this guy was about 6'4", 235, built like a rock. You can't do that stuff to me. Okay, let's go. So next thing you know, he came at me, and he was on the ground, on his face, pounded his head on the ground once, and then he admitted it. But afterwards, everybody's asking, how did you do that? Because this level thing I was doing was like sophisticated brown belt type stuff. You get under pressure, you're going to go back and do the very beginning stuff usually, right? But this was way out there. I didn't answer them because they're not my students and they're not my teacher. But in the hotel room, my teacher, Mr. Parker, said, Skip, just tell me what was going on in your mind. I said, well, it was real simple. And this is why I created the saying from that, intention guides attention. Well, you know, Mr. Parker, this guy challenged me. There was 200 black belts out there. I didn't care what they thought. I didn't think about the other master Kempo guys that were there, my art, or his art. I didn't care what they thought. There was only one thing going on in my head. This guy will have to kill me before he beats me up in front of you. That meant, so when he punched at me, I did 9 self-defense sequences on him in my brain before the fist got there. Then I chose the 10th one, idea. So, because he looked just like this when he was punching at me. That's what it looked like. I'm just kind of standing there going, oh, this is why you do this. You don't want to do this. This is what you... And literally, I could explain all that because the brain will solve problems in 1/100th of a second, which is 3 times faster than you can blink your eye. You just have to know how to organize it so you don't get rid of all the fluff. So that's what happened. Then he was down and stuff like that. Mr. Parker just kind of looked at him like, wow, okay, that's how you did it, right? Yep. It was all that was mattered to me is Mr. Parker, my teacher, that this guy's going to have to kill me. And he didn't. And the guy got up and he was very grateful about it because he didn't get hurt. I just put him on his face. You know, with a little, Mr. Parker, we used to call it a concrete facial, right? And he just kind of bounced with his head on the cement and then came up and he was okay after that. I didn't have to hit him or anything. He got the idea. But that's that idea of I'm challenge-oriented, right? So I need to get aroused. The skill-oriented person, right, needs to do things over and over and over again to get bored. So you should be able to do this as a little test too. Is get right here. Let's make a line across here this way, facing this way this time. Everybody this way. Yeah, just one straight line across. It doesn't matter for now. So what I'd like you to do for this exercise real quick is just take a wild guess. If you think you're challenge-oriented, move down to this end of the line. If you think you're really skill-based oriented, come down at this end of the line. It's okay. There's no right or wrong here. That's okay. No, you will be one or the other. Yeah. Well, so do you have to practice everything?
I just go for it.
Oh, you're challenge-oriented then, right? You stay right where you are for now, at least, okay? And what will happen is in a group setting like this, it'll be relative. So, in other words, she's challenge-oriented. After 2 reps, she's going to get bored. That's you, right? You, 2 weeks later, you're still doing the same exercise, so to speak, like that, right? That's the difference, right? And the students, they train when you do this with your students, you have to get across. It doesn't matter. You're not better because you're challenge-oriented, and you're not better because you're skill-oriented. You are what you are, right? You can both get into this flow. So it kind of goes this way. It's a graph like this. You see the little happy face thing there? This is challenge, right? And this is skill on the graph. And so Arnold's been with me 30-some years. I'm going to teach Arnold how to fall to the rear, right? So I teach it in 8 stages. In the first stage, you just lay on your back. You don't have to fall at all. You learn the basic principles of falling. Now, Arnold's been doing this for 25 years with me, so to speak. And now, Arnold, I want you to go out and do 1,000 reps at stage 1. He's going to get totally bored because he's got the skill. However, my good buddy here, she's been with me 1 week. You know, I was thinking, why don't you get on the top of that car, leap off the car, fall on your back, and slap as hard as you can and see what you can do. Well, she thought she was challenge-oriented, right? And she's going to get aroused. If she's skill-oriented, she's going to be off the charts running out the door. It was cute. We did a Facebook Live. Somebody asked me on live about teaching introverts. So there was one boy, he's very introverted. He was about 14, very athletic, very talented, but very introverted. So I put him in a chair, a folding chair, a metal folding chair, and I whispered to him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start back here, run across the room, and kick you in the chest as hard as I can with my side of my foot in your chest. You're going to go fly in the air. The chair's going to go fly in the air. You're going to slap. You're not going to get hurt. So now I'm standing back here, and all the other kids are back over here. And bam, I kick this kid. He goes flying. He goes flying in the air, slaps. The chair, he doesn't get hurt at all. He just gets up. Everything's okay. I turned around, and I kid you not, all the skill-oriented kids were now laying on their back doing this. They're getting ready for their turn, right? And see, we're not ready, Skip. We're still training over here. Don't call on us, right? Yeah, there you go. Now you know, right? And it's all relative. And the good thing about it is you will know who you are relative to everybody else in a group. And it doesn't bother you one way or the other, right? You can get in the most spiritual levels possible being skill-oriented, just as well as you can challenge-oriented, right? Okay. There's, in the book, a part that it explains the 3 basic ways that you get into this flow, right? And also the 10 factors that accompany the flow, right? And that's going to be under the attitude section when you're looking there. The 3 basic ingredients that get you into flow, number 1 is risk. Well, that's me, Mr. Risk, right? All the time, right? I mean, in the Aware book that I wrote, there's a story at the end that I wrote. Me and my Polynesian brother, we kill a 50-foot whale with spear guns. I lived in a place before everything else. They'd never seen a car. They had no electricity. Never seen a plane. To this day, on my little island there, no one's killed another human being in 126 years. So totally the most Christian country in the world, against allowed to do anything on Sundays. And that they're going to take a whale maybe once every 4 or 5 years to feed the island. So it was a different time. They wouldn't do it now even, right? They wouldn't do it anymore. They don't even kill turtles anymore. Because the rest of the world's telling them you can't live like that. But they did, right? And so anyway, imagine spearing a whale, all right, with the spear gun, not some big harpoon, stuff like that, right? And then later on in the story, we're taking on a 25-foot great white shark who wants to eat this whale. And it's not his, it's ours. Right? And so that's challenge-oriented, okay? Right? When you look and you're this far away and the shark is coming out of the water and he's taking a cubic bite as big as you, cubic, with one bite, you know? Wow. Okay? So count that as one of the 1,181, right? It was that close, especially when he dragged me and my little brother off to sea. Right, we got our spears in him, and he's just going and going and going and going, you know. And then finally, he circled around and cut the rope, the line, and so he keeps going that way, and the boat's out there with him. And my father and some Polynesian fathers, they're on the whale. They actually stood on the whale to shoot this shark from this far away when he came out of the water with their spear guns. And he took the boat off, and my Polynesian father's yelling, "Get the boat!" Because that was the most scared I ever was in my life, because this thing was mad, right? He was mad. And he was, you know, we had a 16-foot wooden boat, and he was 4 or 5 feet each side of it, longer than that, and as wide as the boat. You know, it's just like Jaws times more, right? So that's challenge-oriented. So you need to know that about yourself. And then the next one is your learning mode. Do you learn primarily visually, auditorily, or kinesthetically? And you'll have a balance in there, and you may be a lot of each. I'm not very auditory. Yeah, it's odd for me because Arnold probably told you that I speak a few languages, and I don't hear languages. I see them visually, right? And so that's why I could be, when I'm in Europe sometimes, I'll teach in 5 languages at the same time, right? And sometimes the brain wants to sort it out, and it'll say things in the best way. So I can make a whole sentence with 4 languages to get the idea across. In my mind, it's working, right? But not in theirs, right? They're going, "Skip, come back," right? So I'm very visual, right? But I love the kinesthetic part. I grew up in an athletic family playing football and that kind of stuff. So I love the physical part of it. The auditory part is my challenge to get better at all the time, right? So who would think who's primarily visual?
Me.
Who's primarily kinesthetic? Who's primarily auditory? Cool, all right? So then you know a little bit. So for example, I am Skip. We used to joke about this, having our annual event with all the students from around the world going like, you have to have a name tag. Instead of having a name tag, you go, "Hi, I am Skip. I am left brain, left eye, left ear, right arm, left leg done with challenge oriented visual." "Oh, congratulations. Hi, nice to meet you. I am," and everybody can tell you exactly what they are. Isn't that cute? But that's something you know about yourself, and then the task that you're about to do takes place. And you do it so much better at the task because you know all this other stuff about yourself, which you're not thinking about that stuff when you're doing the task. You already just know that about yourself, which makes everything fall in place.
So if somebody challenges you to do something and that motivates you to do it, like I just went to a spa last weekend at the Seminole, and we did the steam room, we did this, we did that. All of a sudden, we reached the ice cold water. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. My daughter went in, my sister went in, "Come on, Mom, my daughter says to me, "When have you never faced a challenge?" When you do it?" I went in there like if nothing. I even stayed longer than them, and when I got out of the pool, another older lady came back and said, you motivated me to get in.
Very good.
So that's a challenge. So I'm back here.
Yeah. That's it. So you literally moved up one step on the challenge ladder, right? And
that's part of what you're saying, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Me and I just went for it. But while I was just there, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So when the challenge is too great for the skill-oriented person, you're going to get anxious. Yeah. And when the challenge is too little for the challenge-oriented person, you're going to get bored. Right? Okay? And in the book, I talk about anxiety quite a bit because it's something that people haven't defined. And I have big pet peeves like words like fear. because they throw it at you on Facebook, social media, the news and stuff like that. They're way off, right? Fear is your friend, okay? It's a warning signal. It's an emotion, right? And right after that is when anxiety occurs. And anxiety has 3 key words to it: belief, skills, and challenge. So if I don't know what the challenge is about something, I'll have some anxiety. When you're so challenge-oriented, like myself, I don't know what the challenge is. I don't care. On the way, I'm going to figure it out, find out what it is. Okay? So you'll realize that you thought you were the most challenge-oriented, but what it is I'll give you a challenge to do, and who wants to take on a challenge? Who wants to do a challenge? See? So what happens is she raises her right hand, or her hand first, and you're thinking, why? I do want to do the challenge, but I'd like to know what it is first, right? So the most challenge-oriented student doesn't care, all right? She didn't realize she was going to have to, you jumped off the car, she's going to jump off the roof, right? And you're going to watch her, and if she does it successfully, you might try it, right? But if she's unsuccessful, you'll probably say, I'm skill-oriented, right?
I've learned a lot about myself today.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
We should probably stop there, because
I've really
yeah,
learned a lot. That's super cool. I never even realized this.
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, you can do things with the left brain. What's really cute is, who's left brain? Who's our most left brain people, you think? Okay, you're the most left? Okay, good. And are you right brain?
No, she's the left.
Who's the right brain person? Come on out. What I want you to do, we're going to give you a little challenge, okay? You're going to watch her, okay?
Okay.
All right? And I want you to get on your stomach. I want you to do a few push-ups, all right? There's only one rule here for you, okay? You're not allowed to count them, okay? So just start doing push-ups. Go. That's good, good. Did you count them?
No.
How many did you do? 5. There you go. She's left brain.
Because she cannot stop counting.
She's counting her push-ups on top of it, right? You got it?
It was her push-up.
Yeah.
So?
Yeah.
He didn't tell me not to.
No, I don't. Get the idea? So that tells you how left brain you are when you're counting somebody else's push-ups, right?
I heard her counting.
Yeah.
Come over here.
All right.
You know, I knew that she was going to count it for some reason.
Yeah. Right. And that's okay. You just have to know that's who you are. You just have to know that's who you are. And Arla would tell you, if you went back to relate all my different stories about whatever I've done in my life, they all line up back with all that same stuff all over again, whether it's competing at an international level in tournaments, or meeting the Queen of England, or walking around with Francisco Franco I was talking about, or I got to sit and meet with Hubert Humphrey one time when he was Vice President of the United States, and different people like that. And the King of Tonga, the king was actually a really close friend of mine, and actually my name is Sir Skippy in the Tongan language, and so he forbid anybody else to ever use that name again. Made it a law. There's a law. Only one Skippy in the history of Tonga is allowed. Right? So that was pretty cool. Right? All right. So we probably should stop there tonight, because you understand I don't operate on time, so we could go for hours after hours after hours. But some of the topics in the book, all right. And again, the thing about this book, it's 2 things about it. Number one, everybody likes the feel of it, because number one, I made it all in 14 point versus 12. You're welcome. And yeah, no. And part of the reason was that is the smaller it is, you have a tendency to read it like a novel straight through, and everybody kind of sees this as a reference book. So you can just put it back, put it down, pick it up, and pick up. Yeah. Wow. First page I picked up here. You guys, this is for you. It is only a skill if you can use it. All right? That statement itself would change all your teaching methodology. It's not a skill if you can't use it. And your students have to be able to use it, whatever the skill is. And they may want to go on to the next skill, but they haven't got the first one. And the second skill is built on the first one. Right? So I can't work on balance very well unless I worked on posture. Right? So every time I pick up a page, wow, I'm looking at margin for error. It's a huge subject, margin for error. Every time you go down the road, it's all about margin for error. Driving cars is all about margin for error. Right? Number one, the dominant eye. Right? And then, so margin for error is you're walking down the road, and one day it was just a dirt road, and the cars just kind of went wherever they went up and down. So then somebody said, oh, it would be safer if we paved it. It has more margin for error. So we paved the road. Then, wait a minute, maybe we should put a line down in the middle. You drive on one side, and I'll drive on the other side, 2 different directions. And then, oh, wait a minute, what about the people walking? No margin for error for those people, so they made a sidewalk. And then they did more margin for error, so it's put a line between the sidewalk and the road lane, right? And everything about the light system, everything's about margin for error. Everything in the car is about margin for error. So margin for error is this huge thing that you practice every day. And in the book, I explain the difference between training and practicing. Your students come in here to train with you. They have to practice it in their daily life. That's the difference, whether it's the martial arts or Pilates or whatever you do. We have to teach them in such a way that they want to practice it in their daily life. Wow, one of my students, Vivek, he's out of Massachusetts. His family came from India, and he became a lawyer. And I was teaching somewhere, and he saw me online teaching. He drove 300 miles. This is come and say, hey, Skip, you know where I teach now? I'm a lawyer. Where? In Washington, D.C. And every time I go into this room with these big-time lawyers in Washington, D.C., he's like 25 years old. He goes, what do you do? He goes, I just out-posture them. And all of a sudden, I'm in charge. I'm just going to physically out-posture them. And made him this incredibly successful lawyer just because he knew posture. That's the number one lesson he wanted to share from me. He got from me all those years. It was just posture. First of the principles of motion. All right. So anyway, throughout the book, synergism, there's different sayings. About 10% of the book is specifically about the martial arts, but the other 90% is about everything. So I'll give you one last lesson, we'll stop. And this one is under, mental fitness, because you guys are teachers, but also wives, girlfriend, boyfriends with people. And this one was specifically for me because I wrote it here for me because I grew up, and maybe you can relate to this, to a family of the worst listeners in the history of mankind. My oldest brother and youngest brother, my God, I never bothered to carry on a conversation with them ever because they weren't listening. They would just keep talking. Anybody got family like that? Okay. So I wrote this for myself, and then I had to learn and teach myself to be a better listener. When I am thinking about an answer, when you are talking, I'm not listening. You can think about that. That frustrates you sometimes. You're talking to somebody, and they've already got something in their mind.
Frustrating.
It is frustrating, very frustrating. And secondly, when I give you an unsolicited advice, I'm not listening. Right? I didn't ask you for your 2 bits. I'm trying to tell you what I'm going through. All right? Number 3, when I should suggest that you should not feel the way you feel, I'm not listening. You shouldn't feel that way, really. I wasn't listening to what you were saying, right? When I fail to acknowledge your feelings, I'm not listening. You're just emotionally upset. Your boyfriend just left you. You had a fight, whatever it is like that, right? And you want to pour your heart out, and you shouldn't feel that way. Okay? When I'm fidgeting or appear to be rushed, right? That means I'm not listening. I know you're talking to me. I've never owned a watch in my life. I'm so grateful because I actually see other guys that teach seminars once in a while. You're co-teaching over in a group thing. They're actually looking at their watch, and you're paying them money to be there. Oh my God! It's just like I'm horrified. Right? When I do not ask follow-up questions. So that's one of the things I train myself to do. You're talking about something, I'm listening, so I'm going to ask you a question about what you said. Then they know I was listening. So that's the simplest one that was for me the simplest idea to work with. I'm going to ask them a question about what they said. So they really did know I was listening. Okay? And then when I top your story, that's another one that'll drive you crazy, right? When I'll top your story with a bigger and better story, right? All right? Yeah, I know you shot that deer, but I shot an elk. And she shot an elephant. And I shot 5 policemen just last weekend, right? Got to have the bigger and better story, right? And I have some students that still do that, And the other guy's going, do you really think you're going to come up with a bigger story than Skip's? Have you ever been kidnapped by the Mexico City police? Okay. I know. Had to have the U.S. Marines come. They actually chased the ambassador's car away when they came to get me. Wow. And the Marines took us to the airport in the morning and stayed there until we got into American airspace. And they were just going to kill us. That's all they were going to do.
You need a bigger book
with all
Yeah.
of
Yeah, they say that. Huh? But the guys that have been around me, like Arnold, they know the title of my book would be Spoiled. I'm so spoiled by everything, by the blessings that God shares with me all the time, right? All right, when you share a difficult experience, and I reply with one of my own, you know, I know your father just died, but you know, my brother died 6 years ago, you know, okay, right? And finally, this is for me again, when I hear and see and feel and smell and taste God's work in my life, then I'm listening. Okay? All right. So we'll stop there tonight, guys. Thank you so much.